Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, we just saw a meeting with the CEO of Royal Caribbean Cruise Line, and he had some pretty interesting things to say. So of course, obviously, one of the first questions he was asked was, when are you setting sail? And he was very honest with us. He says, we don't know. We honestly don't know. And here's why. We're not only discussing and having to negotiate with the CDC and the World Health Organization, but we have to deal with dozens of different governments and different islands and different territories as well. It's not like every place has the exact same system in place or the same restrictions in place or the same thought processes. I mean, there's countries out there that don't even have the exact same thought process for their own areas, different areas of each cities, and it really is very hard to negotiate your way through something like that. But as far as the United States is concerned and getting ready, they say, well, when we do start up, it will be a different experience, but that's normal. There'll be lots of innovations and lots of things different. He said, a year ago, things were different than they would be today, and 2 years ago, they would be different than they would have been a year ago. For instance, he says, quite a while ago, shuffleboard. Shuffleboard was one of the mainstays of a cruise ship. Now, in all honesty, when was the last time you played shuffleboard on a cruise ship? They're still there. I see them when I'm walking around, but I haven't played shuffleboard in years and years and years. But he's right. It used to be a mainstay of the cruise lines. So he's saying we are innovating, new things are going to come up, and a lot of the good things that we have is that they already have this process in place that they've been starting up on their large ships and their quantum class ships is the new technology that they've been introducing, which is facial recognition software and signing up online for embarkation. And they're hoping that by the time they're ready to get started, you may not even need to see an agent to get on the ship. You'll be able to show up, you will have your virtual ticket, you will get your face scan recognized, you'll scan your passport and you'll walk in. A completely touchless system, which will, eliminate a lot of the contact that you would have with people in a general area when you're boarding. And that process can still be taken into effect when you disembark for your shore excursions at different locations. They can still use that, and you won't have to stand there and be checked in and checked out, other than, when you're bringing stuff back, they're going to scan your bags and make sure you're not bringing anything you're not supposed to bring back on the ships. So that is a process they already have in place, and they say we are coming up with ideas as much as possible. One person threw out an idea which says, well, does this mean we're going to see technology like you see on your Oasis class ships with the bionic bar? And he honestly said, I never really thought about that, but that is a possibility of a way to, keep the touches, keep the interactions between people for the temporary time being, until something is, discovered, or a new vaccine is found, or herd immunity is reached. And so he says it is a possibility. It's not a direction they want to go. They think interacting with your service staff and your bartenders and your entertainers is part of the fun of being on a cruise ship. And you get to be treated like a celebrity sometimes on these cruise ships, and some people remember each other from years and years. When you sail the same ships, people love the same ship and they'll sail on it, and they'll run into the same staff and the same bartenders, and they recognize each other by name. And that is a good feeling. A robot's not going to do that. It's not going to give you that same feeling of, having that kind of fun and interaction on a ship. It'll be more of a stale situation, so they don't want to go in that direction. One really good thing that he did mention as well, is, remember a little while ago they brought out, everyone was reporting that Royal Caribbean has put in a patent for something called Sea Face, which is going to be a mask. And everyone said, well, there you go. We're all going to have to wear these masks now, and that's what's going to happen, and we're going to be forced to wear it on these cruise ships. Well, they've completely dropped that. They've disregarded it. They're not going forward with it. They said during, the crisis area, which was right at the beginning, a lot of ideas are floated, a lot of thought processes, and we act on them, and then we think about them, and then we decide which ones are really good and which ones are really bad. And this was one that he kind of called a dumb idea. He says it's something we don't have to do, patent our own mask, and if we need to use masks, you can get masks. We can order masks. That's not a problem. Why are we going to patent a face mask and put everybody into a panic over it? And he says in long term, it doesn't, that's not where they want to be with the cruise lines. They don't want to be everybody has to wear face masks. Everybody has to stay away from each other. And we don't want that in any of our country or cities as well, right? We want to be able to go to dinner. We want to be able to head out to a park. We want to have family and friends over. That's where we want to get back to. It may take a while, but that's where we're aiming. So the cruise lines are aiming for that as well long term, but in the meantime, they are doing what they have to do to try and get back open. And it's not an easy road to navigate, because of the different governments and the different, CDCs. And he says, it's not like the information that's coming out is, this is fact, and now you guys work on that and solve that fact, what you have to do to work around those facts, and you can open again. Because in the past 40 days, things have come out and completely changed from what they were 40 days ago. If you remember at the beginning, World Health Organization, CDC, came out and said, no, face masks, not really that big a deal. You don't really need to use it. Don't worry about it. Then they come out and say, yeah, you know what? You should be wearing face masks if you're doing, this and you're doing that. So there we go. And then all of a sudden, just a week ago or so, the CDC, the World Health Organization, came and said you can't catch this from asymptomatic people. It's very, very rare. It's very, very highly unlikely that you can do that. And then 2 days later, they said, oh no, you misunderstood what we were trying to tell you. You can catch it. Don't disregard that. It's still in. So it changes and it changes. And so how do you come up with firm guidelines and rules right now that you can show everybody, because they keep changing what you're trying to make those rules for. They keep changing your goal line. And so they have to work with all these things, and it's not easy. So when will cruises start up? He is still hoping, August, September, October to get some ships out there. And he's quite frank, we don't know how things are going to go until we try. Universal Studios and Disney does not know how things are going to go until they open. So you have to try things. You have to see what happens, and you have to monitor it. And so they want to be ready. They want to be as prepared as possible. They're going to do their screenings. They're going to do their health checks. They're going to monitor people on board. They're going to do what they can, everything they can possibly, to make sure this doesn't happen on the ship. And if it does happen, they're going to have procedures in place to immediately isolate people into their private area so it does not affect everybody on the ship. And they're going to react a lot faster than way back in March when no one knew what was going on. When they start sailing, they say chances are it's going to be a few ships here and there, maybe New York, Southern Florida, and they're going to set sail. And it's going to be shorter itineraries. So a few ships and shorter itineraries. And he says our private island, like Perfect Day at Coco Cay, is like a perfect setup for them. They already have in place. It's their own island. The only people going there will be from the ships and the people working there. It's not like tourism coming in and out all the time. It's only going to be the ships that they're sending, who are already going to be screened on board. So it's not like you're getting an influx of new people mingling every day like you would at another cruise port. Where, for instance, if you went to Cancun, you could have people staying in luxury resorts and staying in the all-inclusive resorts. And when you're out seeing the ruins or doing some events, you could be intermingling with people who aren't on your cruise ship. So that's something that they're really going to be focusing on. They're private islands, a shorter itinerary, no 15, 20, 40-day cruises anymore. Probably 7-day cruises, maybe the odd 10-day cruise around a holiday season. But to start, you'll probably see a lot of 4 to 7-day cruises is what's going to be offered when they start up. But I was glad to hear that he admits that it's the negotiations with everybody. They're pretty much ready to go, but they can't because there's so much to negotiate through. So one of the big things that we're all going to have to watch out for is Canada-US borders. If they start allowing travel, which they're supposed to do around the 27th of June of this month between our two countries, if they start allowing that, and then you stop having the quarantine restrictions from state to state or province to province, it'll make it a lot easier for them to start looking at the cruise ships to open up. Because you really can't have cruise lines operating out of Florida if no one's allowed to drive to Florida without being quarantined for 14 days. Well, a lot of good things came out of there. I'm glad to see that face mask is gone. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think it makes sense how much they have to negotiate with? All the different information they keep getting that gets pulled back and changed. It's a very bad roadmap. It's like you're looking at a roadmap that has no street signs, has no street numbers, and it's just lines. And you got to figure out which road you got to take. And so that's kind of what it is to reopening as a cruise ship cruise line. Oh boy, what can we do? Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.